The episode opens with Alexandra Wallace, known as Alex, a freshman at a medical school in Krakow, who is enjoying her night at a bar. There, she meets Lucky, a member from the same medical school. They share a drink and exchange flirtatious brief talk before parting their ways. Alex brings a stranger home from the bar, seeking a temporary escape from her mental struggles. Later, at 3 in the morning, Alex experiences visions of her mother driving a car with her in the backseat. She wakes abruptly to find a faceless figure sitting on her chest, making it hard for her to breathe. Disturbed, she goes to the kitchen, where her roommate joins her and asks her if she had the same experience. Then, the roommate suggests that Alex's experiences could be symptoms of schizophrenia and recommends therapy, but Alex refuses to talk about it or consider seeking help. In the morning, while Alex is at the grocery store buying drinks, she meets a young boy trying to return beer bottles without a receipt. The staff asks him to show the receipt. However, since he does not have one, the staff denies his request. Feeling disappointed, he then leaves the place. Touched by the sight, Alex offers him breakfast before she heads to the medical school. She then rushes to the college for a forensic science entrance exam. To her surprise, she finds that the examiner is Lucky, the person she had flirted with at the bar the previous night. Lucky assists Professor Jan Zawadzki, a leading figure in the forensic science research community. Professor Zawadzki specializes in innovative methods for analyzing fossilized remains, and is the sole Polish member of the prestigious International Society of Pathology. Meanwhile, elsewhere, a group of workers digs in the rain in an area. As they excavate, they come across a place with bubbling water. They alert their supervisor, Robert, who arrives and approaches the water. To his surprise, he discovers a statue with 3 pillar-like structures. Odd, he decides to take the statue home with him. Back in Professor Jan Zawadzki's office, Lucky reports that none of the exam candidates stood out to him. However, the professor's attention is captured by a doodle on an answer sheet belonging to Alex. Intrigued, they search online and discover a YouTube video detailing Alex's survival of a car accident and a beach incident where she was the sole survivor among 6 children. Upon learning about Alex's history, Professor Jan Zawadzki attempts to reach her. However, during his pursuit, he is unexpectedly halted by a luminous creature. Later that night, Alex is reading a book when she comes across a photo of her mother. As she recalls herself in the back seat of a car with her mother driving, she spontaneously burns her mother's face in the picture with a cigarette. Later that evening, Alex returns to the bar where Lucky eventually joins her. While Alex is trying to flirt with a woman in a red dress, Lucky approaches her. He drugs Alex and takes her away. He drives her to the seaside and accelerates the car, plunging it into the water while he escapes from the car. Struggling to escape the sinking car, Alex nearly runs out of air when the same luminous creature appears and saves her. The next morning, she wakes up in her room confused about last night's incident. Her thoughts are interrupted by a text message instructing her to report to the university immediately. There, she learns she has been accepted into Professor Jan Zawadzki's student research group, but needs to relocate to the facility. Excited, she shares the news with her grandmother, who advises caution and warns her to be safe from evil. After hanging up, her grandmother ties a red thread around a folk doll that is hanging by her window. The following day, Alex goes to the specified address to join Professor Jan Zawadzki's student research group. When she arrives, Lucky answers the door, prompting her to accuse him of attempting to drown her. Lucky dismisses her accusation, explaining that he simply drove her home after she passed out from the drugs, and then he departs. Ileana, a group member, then escorts Alex to her room. After settling in, Alex falls asleep only to encounter the same faceless figure that always disturbs her breathing. When she wakes up, she discovers scars on her chest. She counts to 3 while examining herself in the mirror, and the scars disappear. After that, she climbs down to the kitchen, where she meets the other 8 members of the group, each possessing their own unique abilities. She introduces herself to the group but feels uneasy among them, especially when one of them comments on the faceless figure that disturbs her, a topic she has never shared with them before. Feeling uncomfortable, she tries to leave the gathering and heads to her room. Shortly after she leaves, Ileana mentions that she is the 9th member of their group, someone who can open new possibilities for them. Lucky insists not to discuss anything in front of her at the moment, and everyone agrees to his words. Later, she overhears Professor Jan Zawadzki and Lucky talking in the hallway about a light-emitting creature and herself. It becomes clear that Professor Jan Zawadzki had instructed Lucky to drown her in the water. When Lucky asks about the next move, the professor simply urges him not to scare her away for the time being. She also hears that she is the 9th member in the group, completing the quorum. Feeling unsafe after hearing their conversation, she tries to escape from the facility. When the other members notice her escape, Lucky goes after her to bring her back. As Alex escapes from the facility, she encounters the same boy from the grocery store, standing in the rain and chattering to himself. Spotting Alex, he quickly flees from the area. Intrigued, Alex follows him into a room where she discovers a dead man lying on the couch. The boy continues his chattering, seemingly unaware of the tragic scene around him. As Alex watches the boy, she notices a creature crawling on the wall. Without warning, it attacks the boy, slamming him against the wall. The boy then collapses lifelessly to the ground. Guided by the light-emitting creature, Alex acts swiftly to draw the attacking creature away from the boy. As the creature advances toward her, she takes cover behind a bathtub. In her haste, she accidentally knocks on the tub, causing water to spill all over the place. The creature screams in pain as the water burns it. Recognizing the creature's vulnerability, Alex continues spraying water on it until it finally dies. After defeating the creature, Alex rushes to aid the boy, while the light-emitting creature observes her actions. In the next scene, Alex sits in the room feeling uncertain about what to do next. In the meantime, Professor Jan Zawadzki and his team arrive. They discover the creature on the ground and immediately begin examining the area. Without any delay, Professor Jan Zawadzki instructs his team to pack up the creature and take it away before the police arrive. Simultaneously, Lucky investigates the deceased man lying on the couch and asks if the young boy was his son. Surprisingly, the dead man responds to Lucky, revealing his ability to see and communicate with the dead. They then check on the boy and declare him dead. While discussing the incident, Alex witnesses the boy opening his eyes. She informs Professor Jan Zawadzki, but when Lucky examines the boy, he reaffirms the boy to be dead, insisting he cannot come back to life. Professor Jan Zawadzki takes Alex with him in the car. As she gets in, memories of her drowning incident flash through her mind, making her anxious. She attempts to leave, but the professor prevents her. In the car, she asks him about the earlier conversation regarding the quorum. He explains that certain rituals require exactly 9 participants to be carried out successfully, as 9 is considered a mystical number. The professor then asks if Alex has been seeing flashing lights. She admits to his statement but attributes her experiences to hallucinations. He reassures her that the lights are not mere hallucinations or symptoms of schizophrenia, and reveals his 30 years of research into the phenomenon. Upon dropping her off, Alex notices a folk doll hanging in the car and mentions she used to play with similar dolls. The professor explains it's for protection, but Alex, skeptical about this statement, dismisses its effectiveness and gets out of the car. After exiting the car, Alex's roommate notices her from a distance. Once Professor Jan Zawadzki departs, the roommate approaches Alex and inquires about her well-being. Alex, troubled by the news of the boy's death and her experience, leads her roommate to the mortuary. There, she lets her roommate confirm the boy's death. After her roommate confirms the boy's death, they leave the mortuary and sit together in the hallway. Alex confides in her roommate, revealing her concern about soon reaching the age her mother was when she began experiencing unreal visions. She recounts how she witnessed the boy seemingly come back to life after being declared dead. Despite her roommate suggesting therapy for what she attributes to schizophrenia symptoms, Alex worries about turning the same age her mother was when she took her own life. Her roommate attempts to reassure her, but Alex remains unsettled and leaves. As she exits the mortuary, an elderly woman suddenly appears behind her, claiming to read her fortune. The woman cryptically warns Alex that someone is drawing near to her and will soon capture her, leaving her to be deeply disturbed as she departs anxiously. Meanwhile, Robert hears growling from the statue at his home. With a gentle force, he cracks open the statue, releasing black liquid from within. He then heads to the mortuary where the boy's body lies. Upon unzipping the bag, the boy awakens and questions Robert about Alex's whereabouts. Robert identifies the young boy as his master and admits he knows nothing about Alex. The boy climbs out of the bag and begins chanting, unzipping other bodies in the room while Robert remains outside. Afterward, they leave the mortuary together. The boy senses Alex's presence and finds her in the middle of the road. As the boy chants, it triggers bizarre behavior in everyone nearby. Alex attempts to capture him with her phone, prompting the boy to flee away and causing everything to return to normal. After the incident, Alex rushes to Professor Jan Zawadzki's residence. Inside, the entire team is engaged in the creature's autopsy. Alex interrupts and insists the boy is alive and shows the photo she clicked earlier, seeking to convince everyone. Hania and Basia, with the power of reading minds, confirm Alex's truthfulness. Despite this, Lucky remains skeptical, suggesting Alex may have an unusual influence on the boy. Another member speculates that the boy is drawn to Alex. Professor Jan Zawadzki remains silent. and proceeds with the autopsy without any comment. In the basement where the autopsy is underway, Alex joins them but observes silently. When Professor Jan Zawadzki asks Birdie, another community member, to examine the creature, Birdie's hand bursts into flames upon touching it. Professor Jan Zawadzki explains to Alex that Birdie has the unique ability to see the origins of things, revealing that the creature originated from fire and is harmless. This contradicts Alex's experience of the creature attacking the boy, leaving her perplexed. When Professor Jan Zawadzki asks Alex to describe the creature she saw, she describes it as a mix of moth, monkey, and owl. After this, Professor Jan Zawadzki leaves for his office without saying anything. In his office, Professor Jan Zawadzki shows Alex a drawing of the creature, which she confirms resembles the one she encountered. She mentions that spraying water turned the creature into stone, but could not offer any explanation for why it happened. They discuss whether a benevolent deity would attack anyone. Alex then brings up the fact that it didn't completely take the boy's life. Professor Jan Zawadzki reveals that the boy may have transformed into a powerful and evil entity after death, responsible for summoning demons. Lucky mentions Markolts, low-level demons that possess cruel and evil individuals. They explain these demons are easily defeated by burying their head and body separately. Professor Jan Zawadzki elaborates that a benevolent deity transforms victims into intelligent Markolts and explains the history of Triglav. Continuing, Professor Jan Zawadzki explains that Triglav is the deity credited with creating the world. Each of his 3 heads played a crucial role in shaping different aspects of existence. The white head fostered beauty, fire, and kindness. The black head brought despair, water, and chaos, and the red head established harmony between the coexisting forces of good and evil in the world. Surprised by the unprecedented intervention of such powerful gods in the human world, the group decides to search for the boy. They split into 2 teams to cover more ground. Alex chooses to accompany Lucky to the mortuary, where they hope to speak with the boy's father for more information. Professor Jan Zawadzki grants them permission. At the mortuary, the boy's chanting brings the corpses to life, turning them into zombies that attack Alex and Lucky. As they defeat the zombies, impacts of the harm is also seen on the boy, which makes him feel frustrated. Safely returning with the separated body parts, Alex and Lucky with their teams bury the bodies and heads in different graves at the graveyard. Meanwhile, the young boy summons 2 monsters from a puddle and leads them to a hill. Robert, visibly frightened by the monsters, watches nervously. In the following scene, Ileana, who can foresee events that haven't yet occurred, tries to read Alex's future. Upon attempting to look into Alex's fate, she sees Alex in a fearful situation, buried alive in a grave. Choosing not to disclose the fearful vision, Ileana tells Alex she couldn't foresee anything about her future. She then advises her to take care of herself before leaving the room. Following that, Birdie and Professor Jan Zawadzki return to the location where they first encountered the creature. When Birdie hesitates to touch the couch for the 2nd time, out of fear, Professor Jan Zawadzki pushes him to do so. It is then revealed that the young boy is responsible for brutally killing his father. Professor Jan Zawadzki later shares this revelation with his student research group, explaining that the boy's body is inhabited by a deity. He further reveals that the creature Alex defeated was sent by the white gods to eliminate the predator, but Alex unintentionally interfered with their plans. At the same time, the young boy directs Robert to disguise the monsters as humans. The boy sniffs around the cave on the hill and digs his hand into the ground and lets the monster smell the soil. He commands them to seek out and kill Alex. Meanwhile, Professor Jan Zawadzki shares a tale from Slavic mythology known as the War of the Circle. He explains to the group that in the beginning of the world, chaos reigned as the forces of fire and water battled constantly. With the appearance of the element of earth, the gods decided the world was vast enough for both good and evil to coexist peacefully, leaving it in the hands of humans. Amidst his storytelling, his phone repeatedly interrupts, causing distractions. He adds that once they uncover what has possessed the boy's body, everything they find confusing will become clear. Frustrated by this revelation, Alex departs, refusing to be bait any longer. Professor Jan Zawadzki then instructs Birdie to follow her. As everyone exits the professor's office, Professor Jan Zawadzki hears noises on the roof, prompting him to investigate, but finding nothing. Later on, Ileana confides in Lucky about Alex's future, revealing that she foresaw Alex in a grave, buried but still alive. Their discussion is cut short as Professor Jan Zawadzki asks Lucky to take over Birdie's task of following Alex. They head to a bar, where the monster contaminates Alex's beer with black liquid before serving it to her. Alex notices a woman in a red dress present in every bar they visit, and asks Lucky about her. He identifies her as Pivka, a Slavic deity known for encouraging excessive drinking. But this time, just as Alex is about to drink her beer, Pivka advises her not to, knowing the demon has tampered with it but doesn't reveal it to them. After Lucky intervenes and asks Pivka to leave them alone, she departs from the bar. Despite the warning, Alex takes a sip and immediately starts coughing. Lucky drinks more from the same glass than Alex does. Subsequently, Alex heads to the restroom with Lucky following her behind. Lucky, under the influence of the demon, forces himself on Alex, and after that they leave the place together. Next, they head over to Professor Jan Zawadzki's residence, where they hear loud music blasting. Hania and Basia are playing the music loudly, while Jiggy, another member of their student community, is heard moaning from upstairs. Concerned by his unusual behavior, Alex and Lucky decide to check on Jiggy. As they arrive outside his room, they observe the other members trying to alert Jiggy by knocking and calling out to him, but he appears unresponsive. It is discovered that when the house was empty, the monster entered and seduced Jiggy, leading to the current situation. Soon after, Jiggy opens the door and the monster leaps out. She invites Alex to come with her. Recognizing the monster, Alex alerts everyone, prompting an attack. They engage in a conflict with the monster, during which one of the members locks Jiggy and the monster in a room together. As tensions rise, Lucky rebukes everyone for the oversight that allowed the monster to creep into the residence. After Alex reveals that the same monster was at the bar, Lucky identifies it as a Halashi, a female demon from the lake known for seducing and killing its victims. Concerned, Ileana decides to rid them of the demon and takes charge, researching a method to banish it. She assigns tasks to everyone. Hania and Basia are to restrain Jiggy with a straitjacket, while others prepare to subdue the Halashi when it appears. Following the plan, Hania and Basia approach Jiggy as soon as the door is unlocked. Simultaneously, Antoni and Lucky restrain the Halashi as she leaps out of the room. Since Jiggy and the Halashi are connected, they need to move her away to effectively restrain Jiggy, who is under the demon's influence. Leaving 3 members to guard the Halashi, Ileana, Basia, Hania, and Birdie escort Jiggy to a sty. There, Ileana instructs them to cover him with pig manure while she draws protective symbols on the floor. They perform an incantation, successfully breaking the bond between Jiggy and the Halashi. Meanwhile, Lucky, Alex, and Antoni remain at the residence, guarding against the Halashi's escape. Suddenly, Lucky hears news of a missing child and rushes to check on his brother, Michelangelo. Later, Alex peeks through a crack in the door but sees no sign of the monster. She notices the open windows and suspects the Halashi has fled. Hurriedly, Antoni and Alex open the door as the monster crawls out, catching them off guard. They then pursue the escaping monster as it flees from the facility. Meanwhile, sensing the Halashi's failure, the young boy swiftly retrieves a stem-like object hidden beneath his shirt and plants it in the ground. He begins chanting, summoning a demon from the earth's depths, commanding it to kill Alex for his glory. As this unfolds, the scene shifts to Professor Jan Zawadzki, who is seen consuming a worm from the ground, adding a spooky twist to the events. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on the notification, and leave 1,000 likes or 100 comments if you'd like us to continue part 2. Thank you.